Hey guys, how's it going? It's Ken from Nippon Bro. Hope you guys are doing good. So today, basically what I wanted to do was take long exposure photography and a little bit of tutorial on the basics of how to. And also this is gonna be, I believe, a two-part series. So this is part one, showing the daytime long exposure. And we're here at the ancient rocks here on the west side of Okinawa Island. And it's kind of the middle part, I would say, of the entire island. And basically, I'm here at the ocean because the ocean is a very good example of how long exposure photography works in terms of mystifying that water. And it basically gets rid of all the ripples. Here comes a strong wind here. It basically gets rid of all the ripples in the water, and you get this nice smooth effect on the water surface. So that's what I'm going to be showing you guys today. And in nighttime, you can do so much with long exposure. You can do light streak art where you basically take a light and you can flash it, and you can draw different things in the air with the light while it's dark and the shutter is open. You can also do astrophotography and take the night sky with the stars and the Milky Way so it looks awesome. So I'm going to be doing that as well. That is more nighttime, but right now, since it's daytime, we're just going to be doing the ocean and see how it looks. The only thing is, it's not that wavy today because it's morning, and usually since the wind comes from the west in the afternoon, that's when the strong waves start to come in for this side of the island. So basically what I have to do is hope for the best that I can take some type of long exposure photography on this side right now at this time to give you guys a good example. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through some settings on your camera and also go over some ND filters, and we'll get to shooting. So hang on one sec. Hey guys, so basically I wanted to just go over some camera settings with you guys. Sorry if there is harsh reflection on here. I couldn't really get away from too much of the reflection coming off from the sand or the water. So you're gonna see a little bit of reflection going on my screen, but hopefully you guys can see the actual shutter speed down here. You got your aperture here and your ISO and your white balance in the middle here. So what I'm trying to accomplish here is to be able to take long exposure photography. What you're essentially doing is letting as much of the light in as possible through the lens. Then the actual camera processes that and basically makes it so the blur on the entire image is higher. And so basically you're going to get that misty effect because the water is going to be super blurred out in a sense. So that's what's causing the mist effect. So having said that, what you want to do is to be able to basically open that shutter as wide as possible, but not too much because we do have a bright day to work with here. And if we go too bright, then you're just going to get a white photo, which is going to be super overexposed. Even if you had an ND1000 and you open it at bulb, which is basically a mode that you put in that you can put infinite amount of time. And you usually have a shutter remote for that where you can just click and hold the shutter open, and it will basically just start taking a photo, and it will not stop until you press the button again. So having said that, what you're going to basically do is go dial down the shutter speed. So as you turn the shutter speed down, it's going to basically make the image really bright. And that's just the indication of how much light is actually coming into the lens. Now for kind of water that's calm today, it doesn't really need too much blurring. So I would say even 2 seconds is good, but I feel optimistic today, maybe 4. So 4 seconds is how long the actual shutter is going to stay open until it closes again to take the image. Now, as far as the f-stop, your aperture, what you want to do with your f-stop is actually, for landscape photography, you want to be a little more than at least 8. So what's that going to do is that's going to make it so there is no real depth of field. Everything is going to be in focus from the foreground, midground, and the background. So if you haven't seen my landscape photography tutorial, just click on the link up above here, and you're going to get that tutorial for landscape. So for f-stop, what you're going to do is you're just going to raise that f-stop to f8. Now you're going to see the image come back darker because now we're closing that aperture down. And I think today we're just going to start at 8, and then we're going to see how that works. Now as far as ISO, I would keep it the lowest just because it is daytime. You don't need any artificial lighting. There's enough daylight here to work with, so I would keep the ISO the same. So the next thing you need is an ND filter. So I'm gonna actually put an ND filter on this. Right now I do have an ND filter on, but it is from a polarized to a 5-stop, and this is Freewell variable ND filter. So now I'm going to actually stick on this other one, which is 6 to 9 stops. So it's a bit heavier. What that's going to do is just give me a little bit more of room to be able to play with when it comes to opening up the shutter speed. All right, perfect. So basically now same settings, 4 seconds with f8.0 and ISO at 100. And then basically what you're gonna do is you're gonna just turn that dial and it's going to darken the image there. I think 4 seconds is actually still too much. So what we're gonna do is daytime, we'll do 2 seconds. So the image looks dark right now, but when you take the actual image, it's gonna open up that shutter and it will let in light. And by that time, when it closes, it's gonna take a very bright image. You'd be pretty surprised. Let me actually go take some photos here and show you guys the results of how these settings are on the camera. Hey guys, so basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a photo of this view here just so you guys can see I kind of face the camera this way. By the way, I'm shooting with an iPhone 7s, 4K, so bear with me on the quality of the image here. I hope everything's in focus. But it basically, yeah, I have this view here with the lighthouse, so I'm trying to take everything. The lighthouse is pretty small from this angle, but yeah, hopefully I can get a shot in. And basically what I want to be able to do is kind of compose this ancient rock area here and then get these ripples out of the water and then make it kind of smooth. And hopefully I have a boat over there and that boat is pretty still. So having that boat being still is very important because if that thing moves, it's going to be blurrier in your image and you're going to have to Photoshop it out if it's too blurry. And so it's not really a good look to have. So I would say try to keep everything static in the background. So in this case, the boat is still. But if you have people that are moving, stand-up paddleboarding or swimming, it's going to ruin the image. So just keep that in mind when you're taking long exposure photography. So here we go. We're going to start taking this photo, but I just noticed that it is a little bit bright for the image. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually raise that f-stop. So right now it's f8.0. So I'm going to put that up to, I would say, let's see how much it goes. I'm actually just going to go the full-on f16 as much as this Sigma 16mm prime lens can go. And yeah, we're just going to take a shot and see how it goes. So it's on a 2-second shutter. And what I also recommend you to do, which I forgot to mention before on your settings, was to always set it on self-timer. Whether it's 3 seconds, 10 seconds, 5 seconds, it doesn't really matter the actual time. It just anything longer than the actual moment that you click the shutter button, because if you click that shutter button, you tend to sometimes get that shake in the camera, and that can also ruin the image right from the get-go. So basically you want to be avoiding that and just put a self-timer on. I have it on 10 seconds right now, so after 10 seconds it's going to take the photo and I'm going to step away from the camera, make sure I'm not obscuring it in any way. So yeah, just going to see how it turns out. So that was 2 seconds. Let's check the image. So it's a little dark. I got this weird thing going on here. It's a little hard to tell here. I think I got some cross polarization going on. Got some weird corner vignetting here. I'm just gonna wipe the lens and make sure that everything's good. Sometimes it can make a big difference if your lens is dirty or not. Now let's see again. Got this weird thing going on. Yeah, it's a cross polarization kicking in at 9 stops. So that is another issue to deal with, but you're not going to have that issue if you actually brighten up the image. So the cross polarization will almost disappear. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lower that back down. I think actually the long exposure is trial and error. So I'm going to actually go back down to f10 and see how that does. And we'll see what happens there. But if the cross polarization still comes into play for you, what I would do is stay at the highest, whatever dark image that you have, and just kind of twist that ND filter back a stop, and then it should be okay. But I have it on 9 stop, which is full. But of course, it's only 2 seconds, so you can kind of play around with it. I can even actually, let's start here. Let's go back to F16. We're just going to go through the process of elimination here. And then we're going to actually just increase that shutter speed to, let's say, 5 seconds. We'll see how that works. And we'll take another photo here. All right, not bad. So that photo still has some cross polarization in it. So what I'm going to do is, to prevent that vignetting from happening, I'm going to open up the actual filter itself. I'm going to brighten the image a little bit. And then I'm going to bring this back up to, I would say, 2 seconds. And then let's go 2.5 seconds. And let's take another photo. So that was 2.5 seconds, and let's see how that worked out. Yeah, it smoothed out the ripples in the water for sure, I think. Still got a little bit of that corner vignetting on the left bottom there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually just bring it to maybe 4 seconds this time. This time it should be pretty good to go. Might be a little bit overexposed, but I see a little bit of zebras happening. It might be harder to recover, but always be shooting in RAW, because that is something that is always going to be beneficial for you in the long run. When you shoot RAW, you're going to be able to get some of that back in post. But let's see how this goes. All right, so that turned out to be a lot better. The vignetting's gone, cross polarization is gone, and it's a little bit overexposed, but in a sense, I think it's okay. Let's check the histogram here. Yeah, it's all over on the overexposed side, so that's fine. You can always try to bring that down in post. I mean, there's a lot of people that are really by the book in terms of these kind of things, and they always tell you to have the histogram in a certain area and stuff, which is true, which is a good principle to have, but it all depends on how your post-production can be. And some people don't really like the post-production part of the process, and they don't like editing too much. For me, it's a little different. Taking a photo for me is one part of the art form, and then also doing some post-production work is another. And I'm not trying to say that, you know, do everything in post-production or anything like that, but it's mostly just whichever one you are more comfortable. So if you're more comfortable with playing around with the camera settings and trying to get the picture as perfect as possible before post, then that's great. But if you're kind of a person who is kind of flexible with camera settings for taking a photo and then doing post-production after to make the image look better, then that's also another way to go about it. I mean, there's no right or way of doing photography and doing post-production. It's all subjective. So as long as you think that that is perfect to your workflow, then so be it. And I think that is a great way to go about it for people that are beginners, advanced, and experts. So yeah, that's kind of my take on it. The boat has kind of moved. I don't know if you saw in the background. Every time I look at it, it seems like a magic trick and it's shifting. So again, the waves are very minimal today, so you're not going to get that misty look. If anything, it's going to just look really clear, and that's also a good thing. I mean, if you want that tropical look and you want that clear water, I think that's a pretty good look to have. I mean, you can't really complain with an area like this where you have nice kind of magenta blue water and you kind of have this scenery to look at with boats, and you know, you got the little lighthouse over there. And so yeah, it's actually pretty good scenery to take a landscape photography. Again, just make sure you have that f-stop higher than 8 so you don't get that kind of depth of field going on for your landscape photography. You want everything in focus. So I think we kind of achieved that today. And let me just take some B-roll around this area so you guys can actually see what is the area here that I'm in, because it's more beautiful than just this one kind of angle here. So there are some kind of fishes along this kind of boat chute right here, right behind the camera here. And then, yeah, I'm gonna see there are some fishes splashing while I was just talking on camera. So I'm going to show that, and yeah, just enjoy the rest of the video. If you guys are new to the channel, please subscribe and you guys will get more tutorials. This is going to be a 2-part, so the second part is going to be hopefully later in the week. And if I can actually get a pretty clear sky. Today is an okay day, but the clouds are kind of rolling in, so I'm not too sure. Last night it kind of rained on me, so couldn't do that. But yeah, if you guys also like this video, please smash the like button and turn on those notifications for future videos that are coming up. especially this next one coming up. And there are some other news I would like to present to you later in the week. So I promised this week that there is going to be a news coming out for myself, and just something new that I'm going to try. Not necessarily with this channel, but yeah, we're going to see how it goes. But otherwise, enjoy the B-roll, and I think I'm going to end it here actually. So enjoy the B-roll, and I will see you guys on the next one, hopefully later in the week. All right, see you guys later. Oh, by the way, guys, before I go, any of the B-roll that you see from here on out is literally gimbal-less, if that's even a word, but not using a gimbal at all, only using my iPhone 7s, and yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm only using the phone. I don't even know if it has very good image stabilization. Hopefully I can get it, because if I go back home and it's crap, then I'm gonna have to get the gimbal and reshoot everything. Not everything, just the B-roll. But yeah, anyways, see you guys on the next one. Seriously, the only day that I don't get enough waves. Oh, there's some fish.